Hello, everybody. This is Jean Fall from Total Tax and Accounting, and this is just a high-level overview of some of the components that were included in the CARES Act that was signed into law on Friday. So one of the big hot items is this Paycheck Protection Program. So for businesses with less than 500 employees or less in operation as of 2/15 this year, loans are being made available through the SBA. So the loan is limited to the lesser of $10 million or the borrower's average total monthly costs for 1 year ending on the date of the loan multiplied by 2.5. Plus any refinance loan. So if you already have an SBA loan, that's going to be factored into that. Basically, this is if I have $10,000 worth of payroll, if that constitutes 1 month in that 1 year look back period, that's going to be multiplied by 2.5, and that's going to be the amount of loan that I would be eligible for this paycheck protection. Now, these proceeds must be used for payroll costs as defined, which is basically wages, commissions, retirement contributions that the company makes, and health insurance contributions that the company makes on behalf of the employee. So payroll taxes are not a part of that. That's not a qualifying use of a qualifying expense for this. And then there's also some other areas, interest payments on mortgages, rent, utilities, because you may be a business that doesn't have payroll. So the PPP program, let's see if I can get that out of the way, has a forgiveness provision. So at the end of this period, you can apply for loan forgiveness in the amount equal to the payroll costs, rent, utilities, interest during this 8-week period after the loan is made. So the amount of the forgiveness will not be taxable to the borrower, but the taxpayer can't use both this loan and the employee retention credit or other employer tax credits, specifically regarding payroll. So this is where you're going to want to work with your accounting software and your tax preparer and your bookkeeper, whatever, accountant, whatever you call them, and you're going to want that tracking to be in place in your file so that when it comes time for you to apply for forgiveness of this loan, it's a seamless, straight process, and you'll be able to quantify how much you've spent under qualified expenses during that period. The employee retention tax credit is up to 50% of qualified wages paid between 3/13 and the end of the year. And that would be related to COVID-19, obviously. And this credit is limited to $10,000 of wages per employee per quarter. Of what wages qualified depends if the employer has more or less than 100 employees. Most of my clients have less than 100. So your business must have been fully or partially shut down due to COVID-19 or have a gross income that is reduced 50% less than the same quarter in the prior year. So that would be pretty easy. Although if you haven't been in business for over a year, this isn't going to really work for you. If you have SBA loan assistance under Section 7A, you would be eligible for this credit. Section A is going to be, as I understand it, a regular SBA loan, and it's also going to be the economic injury loan. So you want to be careful which direction you're going to go. Are you going to go after tax credits, SBA loan? And it's all interconnected, and it takes a little bit of analysis and coordination. There's also the deferment of employer taxes. So if you pay, let's say, $10,000 to your employee, that's their wage, that's not their net pay, that's the gross pay. 6.2 of that would be $620, and that can be deferred into 12/31/2021 and 2022. I would just caution you that if you choose to do that, these are considered trust funds by the IRS. And while they're allowing you to defer payment if you go out of business, which I hope you won't, those will probably follow you. You will not be able to discharge that debt in bankruptcy. So it kind of sounds good on the front end, but just consider that on the back end. If you just want to go ahead and pay your payroll taxes like normal and take advantage of the PPP payroll protection program to compensate you back for paying those taxes, that might be a little cleaner, but this is also available. So the economic injury disaster loan, and this is applied for directly on the SBA site. It allows for emergency loans of up to $2 million. It waives the requirement for personal guarantees on loans under 200,000. That's kind of nice. And it waives the requirement that the borrower not be able to take credit elsewhere. So under normal circumstances, you would have had to already exhaust other supplies. Could you get a HELOC loan? Could you use your credit card? In this case, there's no requirement. They don't need to know if that you had other sources. They are doing grants of up to $10,000 within 3 days of the borrower filing. And again, that's on the SBA website. And that amount is up to, as you go through the application process, it'll say up to. And I don't know anybody that's completed that yet, so I can't tell you how that is going to play out. But keep in mind that if you're going to do the payroll protection program, that has the loan forgiveness possibility. This one does not. And they work in tandem with each other. So you need to be very careful that you use the paycheck protection for the qualified expenses during the qualifying period. Whereas this is truly a loan that will require repayment, and it may be the amount you get may be offset by how much you get under the other program. Isn't that simple? If you also want to help your employees, but you perhaps you can't keep them employed, if you make student loan payments on their behalf, that's completely deductible to you as an employer, up to $5,250 for 2020. So that's maybe another way you can help people out. Like I said, this was a very high overview, but what I am seeing as of this moment is banks are not ready to start making these paycheck protection program releasing funds on that. That is what the law stated. It is that the administration of this program was delegated directly to the banks, but they don't really have probably any direction yet. You will not find the Paycheck Protection Program application on the SBA website because, again, you're going to get funded directly through the bank. I have yet to find out a bank who is actually up and running. You can Google some stuff. I think maybe Capital One and ApplePie.com are allowing you to go ahead and apply, even though they're not ready on their end, but you would have that taken care of so that when they get their guidance, they can just pull the trigger and fund those. So of the two SBA products, certainly the Paycheck Protection, if you can actually get it, is going to be probably the preferred one because it has that loan forgiveness possibility at the end. So these are crazy times. There's lots of people posting this. I encourage you to go Googling on YouTube and listen to other stuff. But this is what it's been released so far. And again, it's high level. If you are going to use that deferral of your deferral of your payroll taxes into next year, we're looking at the first of the month, and oftentimes people are making payroll right now and doing checks. You may consider just doing an advance to your customer or your employees instead of running it through payroll, because the payroll systems that we all use are not equipped to deal with setting aside that 6.2% and not paying it in. I mean, this is just too new for them, and it may be several weeks. So that may be a way that you can, if that's a path that you want to go down, then you can go ahead and just give your employees advances close to what they would get as their historical net pay. And then you're going to have your accountant or your bookkeeper true that up once we get the mechanisms in place, and then you'll know how much taxes you're actually going to defer. So I hope that made sense. It did to me, but this is what I do for a living, so sorry if it didn't. Anyway, I hope all of you are well. This is just so crazy, and I'm trying to be as helpful as possible, but I'm also concerned about giving out inaccurate data. So I'm staying a little high level with this, but I'm available for you. You're welcome to go out to my website or call me, make an appointment. We can discuss your situation further. So stay well.